know?
Not much.
How long's he been dead for?
Looks like about 3 hours, right?
Well, actually, judging by the skin coloration of his elbow, the wrinkle on his pants, and the palm reading I just conducted, I would say closer to 7 hours.
He's got a university ID. He was a calculus professor.
Guess you could say this guy reached his endpoint.
Do you think the death was drug-related?
Well, judging by the traces of ibuprofen on his face, I would say it's safe to assume.
This guy must have been strung out to his absolute maximum. I think we got what we came for.
All right, let's head back to the lab. What have we got?
Well, I did a blood test and I graphed the victim's endorphin levels over the night.
Right. See endorphin levels. Let's do the derivative. I want to see the maximum and minimum endorphin levels.
The derivative? I haven't seen that done in years. Are you sure you can pull that off?
I think so.
What does this mean?
These are critical points.
Critical points. Perfect candidates for relative max and mins. How do we know which one it is?
If these are the critical points, or where the derivative equals 0, points pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2 are either relative minimums or relative maximums. We know there is a relative maximum at pi over 2 because the derivative experiences a sign change from positive to negative. Conversely, we know 3 pi over 2 is a relative minimum because the derivative changes from negative to positive.
So we know this one's a relative minimum. How do we know if it's the absolute?
Well, we know that that relative minimum is also the absolute minimum because neither endpoint is lower than the relative minimum.
Well, what explains that rise on the end if that was his lowest endorphin level?
Natural bodily function.
So that solves it. Looks like he died at 3 pi over 2 o'clock last night. Not gonna lie, Dr. Daniel, I'm very impressed with what you did here today.
Looks like the limit of my skill does not exist.